When I first became sheriff, the thing that surprised me the most in terms of the burden of responsibility was clearly the lives of all 5.3 million Minnesotans here in the state of Minnesota that relied on leadership, experience, being candid and straightforward, being tough when it required someone to be tough, to take on issues as they came. As sheriff of a large urban county and one of the largest counties in the country, your job isn't just public safety. It's public policy and having the courage to stand up when sometimes people would say, not so much, or to disagree with you.
I'm excited to see where he takes it. The sky's the limit. He's got a very good vision. And again, whether it's something in our household, like, we always talk about when Dad says we're going to do something, it happens, We just know that, when he sets his mind to something, it gets accomplished. So he's got so many different people that he's been engaged with over a lot of different topics that I think the excitement is now those people can come forward at a statewide level and make some positive change that'll impact their community. That's, I think, the biggest part, is now instead of just being Hennepin County, it becomes a statewide issue. And, some of those key things that are like mental health and some other things that are really, high priority for a lot of communities. He gets to be the guy to make some positive change. So that's huge. So that's probably the thing I'm excited about, is seeing some of that come back to the community.
My experiences as sheriff has helped prepare me to be governor of this great state in these ways. One is about leadership, right? Many circumstances where, some people would just fold up and go home at the end of the day. The sheriff doesn't get to do that, and neither does the governor of the great state of Minnesota. He doesn't get to say, hey, leave it up to a local city or community or someone else to handle. The buck stops here. Two, I would say the relationships that I built as sheriff on both sides of the aisle, both in the metro area, throughout greater Minnesota, public policymakers, mayors, city councils, school boards, community groups are strong, and those will translate and transition into the governor's office in terms of how I will do business as the governor of this great state. I've had this conversation with several of my close friends, and no doubt they think, well, why? You could easily enjoy your retirement, enjoy your kids, look forward to grandkids, enjoy Sally, and enjoy this beautiful cabin. But I tell them that, public service has always been a calling. It's never been a job for me. It's been a calling. And so I look at this as another dimension of public service, something that is unfinished. And I truly feel that way. So we decided to go for it, run for governor for the state of Minnesota, because the people of this great state need that leadership. They need someone who listens to them, cares about them, is just like them. We bring that to the table, and we're looking forward to, the next several months, getting out and meeting folks one-on-one, meeting them in their coffee shops, in their communities. The one thing that people always ask me is, well, why you? What brings Stanek into the race? Why you? And we know that my lifelong career of public service in the metro area, working with the different communities. I was born and raised in Minneapolis. My kids were born and raised, and my wife, in the Minneapolis area. We have good relationships with folks, and in order to win a statewide race for governor, you have to blend the metro area into greater Minnesota That's about electability. That's about the things that we talk about after being elected 8 times in the metro area. We have a pretty good understanding what it's going to take. And you blend that in with southern Minnesota and western Minnesota and northern Minnesota, and you bring all those together, we can do this. We can do this together. No, it's not just wishful thinking. You think about, I'm a 9-time endorsed principal conservative Republican. So that's not going to be changing anytime soon. I have won 8 elections in Hennepin County. Hennepin County itself is about 25% of the state's population, not the only, but a significant portion of the state of Minnesota. Now, I've worked in those core communities. I've worked hard for them as their sheriff, as their neighbor, as someone who goes to Rotary and the Lion Club and the different civic events. I feel really confident that those relationships will transcend, and they will be there for me as I've been there for them. Over the last 12 years, I've been very engaged in the community. I've worked at the Boys and Girls Club, Treehouse, the Minnesota 100 Club, a number of other youth groups. For over 15 years, I was involved with the Police Athletic League, where we went out and worked with the youth. I started a program with Minneapolis Police early on when I was a young patrol officer called Cops Care. Myself and the officers I worked with would take kids up to the Boundary Waters canoeing. We would host and sponsor basketball, baseball, football teams. Spent a lot of time out in the community. This isn't just a one-time thing. This is a lifelong career of public service and engagement with the community itself. That's what I think will transcend in this governor's election. That's what I bring to the table that some of the other candidates I don't think can match.
Rich has been involved in a lot of groups that were part of the sheriff's office as well as part of the police department, and I think he's had an opportunity to not only meet but to engage with a lot of those groups one-on-one and make a big impact. He actually had a lot of church leaders and also youth group and schools and whatever reach out to Hennepin County and started programs to improve issues just that were on the table for every walk of, the community. So with that in mind, I think he's got a good understanding of what the needs of the people are and can bring it down to a level where he can make an impact.
Sally's been a rock. She's been the foundation of the family. She's raised 2 great kids. And by this time, I hope we're going to be having some grandkids. Right, guys?
Couple years.
And I think, she's going to grow into this role of being the First Lady of Minnesota. About 10 years ago, like a lot of Minnesotans, she lost her job due to the economy. And she didn't sit around. She got engaged. She went and did something she never thought she would do, but always wanted, right? She went and was a para at an elementary school in a suburb in Hennepin County. It was not an easy task. When I found out where she was going and where she was going to be doing this at, I had a lot of trepidation. But she handled it. She did well. She made a huge impact on the young kids. And it was really hard. And she got a good taste of that. But she wasn't daunted by it. She did it until the school year came to an end. And then she went back into the workforce. And this has happened a couple times. It takes resiliency to, kind of bounce back when something in your life doesn't go so well. You can give up and lay on the couch and curl up, or you can get back out there. She's always done that. With young people, family values matter. And, it's tied hand in hand with education. It's tied with the core family. It's tied to one of the main things that I've talked about thus far in this campaign and will continue to talk about, which is public safety, crime, social issues. And as a lifelong Republican, I understand how important family is, family values. Sometimes life circumstances take families in a different direction. Okay, so then you have others that help and help them out. I mean, I could tell you stories when I was 17, 18 years old. I lost my mother and my father shortly thereafter. I still had younger brothers and sisters at home. The neighbors, the core group of neighbors where we lived, came and helped us, made dinner, cleaned the house. Really important. And if they had not been there when we were young in those formative years, and I've got a brother that's 3 years younger than I am and one that's 1 year younger than I am.
Rich was very fortunate. He came from a very big family, and both mom and dad worked, but they had not a lot of money. And early on, I think it was early young junior high age, one of his teachers, Sister Benita, saw him with some potential in terms of where he wanted to go with his, life skills and where he was at, and gave him an early identification scholarship. So with that, Rich was able to use that to go to college and was, where he may not have been able to. And he chose law enforcement and political science, and was able to use those funds to help him out. So not any different from some of the other kids that are growing up in those same communities today.
I want to follow on where Sally started. She was talking about my 7th grade teacher. I was fortunate that I had this nun, Sister Benita, who believed in me. And she inspired me. She saw in me something that maybe I didn't see in myself at the time. And she helped me go through and apply for what was called an early identification incentive scholarship. We wrote the essay. We decided what the framework would be. I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to do public service. I got that scholarship. I was able to attend the University of Minnesota. And then later I went on to Hamline University, where I got a master's degree in public administration. She inspired me to do a lot of different things. But she was an inspiration of my life, and she helped me understand what that meant, those acts of kindness, and how then I could be an inspiration in other people's lives. Whether it was being a police officer, whether it was being a mentor to young people, whether it was being a father to my own children. I think that's really important. As governor of this state, it's something that you need to take a look at. The inspirational piece. Bringing campaign volunteers together, men and women across the state to caucus, people to stand up and support you in your values and your vision. I think about that all the time. I think about how do I reach them? How do I tell them? At the end of the day, Sally's right. She says, look, Rich, you're a real person. Show them who you are. Show them your authenticity. And I strive to do that every single day.
Well, I think that shows when, there are community members and people that are, just all the time he's got people reaching out to him wanting to bounce ideas off or have him be a part of something that allows for change, whether it's in a community group or with its, I don't know, it's just, for me, it's I'm always in awe that, this is just one person. But he's made such an impact in a lot of different people that I feel that there must be some reason why those people are drawn to him. And the reason I believe is because he can get things done.
Just this last week, I had a
So-
chance to talk with Tim. He's African American. His community is besieged with violent crime every single day. He doesn't know where else to turn. He knows over the years, I've been there for him, I've been there for his friends, his neighbors, even his own family, and I'll continue to do so. A guy named KG, whose granddaughter was shot and killed in the inner city. We had a good conversation last week. Farheel, who's a Somali American, beautiful young woman. She's working and mentoring other young Somali women to be good parents, to help understand what this culture and this community means and how the two can blend together. Probably the last one was Sam. Sam's another African American who lives in Hennepin County. Sam and his neighbors and friends and colleagues have a piece of legislation, and they wanted to know if I would help them reach out to other policymakers and help them understand what it would mean to them, what it means to their community. These are things I did every day as sheriff of Hennepin County. These are things I'll do every day as governor of this state. Well, I got into this race because I believe I can draw the different communities together, whether it's the communities in Minneapolis and St. Paul and suburban Hennepin County and Ramsey County, or northern Minnesota, southern Minnesota, western Minnesota. I've been out there. I've been working with them over the years. These different communities are really important. You cannot win the governor's office this November. You can't beat Tim Walz unless you have a coalition of communities who really understand Minnesota, who make up the different sectors in the fabric of Minnesota values. That's what's important this November. That's what's going to make a difference at the end of the day. That's what I, in the Stanek for Governor campaign, brings to the table. Look, my family is just like the all-American Minnesota family, right? We've had challenges. Sally and I have been married for a long time. We have 2 kids, Ryan and Jennifer. They do a phenomenal job. We are very proud of them. Things have not always been easy. They never are as parents. You face challenges. As couples, you face challenges. As a family, financial challenges. But, I think at the end of the day, what's really important is to have that faith. Faith that, things will change. And Sally and I have instilled certain values in our kids. Just like all Minnesotans want for their kids and their families. Work hard, never take anything for granted. When you make a mistake, you face the mistake, and you make it right. Our state needs healing. Look, all of our state's been through the last couple years under Tim Walz. We've seen record murder rates in our core cities. We've seen people say they're not safe going to the shopping mall. They're not safe in school. School shooting just last week in Richfield. 1 dead, 2 injured. This past week, school bus shot at. Driver hit in the face, 3 young kids under the age of 10 on the bus at the time. We saw 2 other people get murdered in a car on a beautiful afternoon in the middle of the week in the core city. Our state needs healing. The rise in violent crime, communities not safe, parents afraid to send their kids to school where there's shootings. Our state needs healing. Government restrictions and mandates, businesses closing, some never reopening. Our state needs healing. People losing confidence, in the economy, losing their jobs, rising gas prices, cost more to put groceries on the table. Our state needs healing. Our kids need to be in school. They need to be in the classrooms. They need us as parents to be involved in their education. Our state needs healing. Tim Walz has made it really difficult. Difficult for parents, difficult for teachers, difficult for communities of color. The state thinks they own our kids. They've dictated what should be taught to them, how it should be taught to them, where it should be taught to them. Our kids should be back in the classroom. Parents should be involved and understand what the curriculum is. With Tim Walz, that hasn't been happening. In fact, it's going the opposite direction. Those are the things people are talking about. That's what they're engaging me in conversation about. That's what they know, that I can make a difference. The leadership I've done in the past in reducing crime, I'll bring forward again. And together, we will get the job done.
It's time that somebody stepped in and made some change in the direction that the majority of Minnesotans want to go. And I think Rich Stanek is the right person to make that happen.
What I think is important and people should know about me, what they should know about my family and my values, is that I'm just like them. Look, I'm fairly measured, but I have a vision, and I have a vision for Minnesota. I know where we want Minnesota to go. My thoughts and my dreams are just like every other Minnesotans. A great place to live, be proud of what we do, be proud of our educational system, encourage jobs and the economy, lower this crime rate, make people be safe again. Those are things that are important to me.
Rich Stanek for governor.